Alright, so if I wanted to get x by itself right here, what would I do? I would subtract 12, right? And what is 16 minus 12? Okay, so that just ends up being x is less than or equal to 4. Okay, that sign is the situation to make sure less than always makes an L, so if you hold your two hands up, okay, the less than sign can make an L, the greater than sign does not. Alright, you always want your variable to be on the left side whenever you're doing inequalities. Alright, so I am going to go ahead in this situation. What do you want me to move here? The 8. Okay, if I move the 8, it becomes what? Positive. Okay, which gives me 5 is greater than or equal to x. But I just told you that when I'm done, I want my x to be on the left. So I'm going to flip this around and put x on the left and 5 on the right. How? You also have to flip what? The inequality sign. Okay, in other words, it's kind of pointing at x right now, so it still needs to be pointing at x when I'm done there. Okay, solving inequalities is exactly the same as solving equations. The only difference is if you have to divide by a negative, which we do down here in a minute. Okay, so the third one of these, what do I need to do first? Divide by 5. Now divided by a positive 5, so everything stays the same. And what's negative 10 divided by 5? Negative 2. Okay, so the only trait down here to this last one. Alright, this is our only difference. Okay, in inequalities, if you divide by a negative, anybody know what you need to do? You need to flip your sign. Okay, so right here, what am I going to divide by? Okay, I'm going to divide by negative 2. So that gives me x. I'm going to flip this sign right here, make it a less than, or greater than technically. Okay, and that becomes what? Positive 9. Now, what's the problem I still have? My x is still on the incorrect side. So I'm going to rearrange. I'm going to put x on the left, 9 on the right, and then what do I have to do to my sign again? Flip it again. Okay, so that's where you would have ended up. Alright, so I want y'all to take a few seconds. You've got 8 over there. They are a little bit more complicated, but I want you to try those 8. Okay, and you should have got negative 9 over 8 for number 1. Okay, remember, they can be fractions. There's nothing that says they cannot in math 1. Okay, if you move the 17 here, that's going to make that a 15 and a 3r. So if you divide, you end up with 5 is less than r, and once you switch, you're going to get r is greater than 5. Is everybody with me so far? All right, number 3, when you move your 11, you're going to add 11, which is going to give you 6m is greater than 0, and 0 divided by anything is still 0. We didn't divide by a negative. 6 is positive. All right, so same thing here. That's going to become a 25 and a negative 5y. All right, so right here, what am I going to divide by? Negative 5, which means I need to do what? Flip my sign, and then I need to flip it again to get y on the left. All right, now 5, 6, 7, and 8 are just kind of combining like terms and going through your multi-step equations here. Okay, and again, right here, you're going to have to divide by a negative, so you do have to flip your sign there. And here you got to flip it again to get your letter on the left. Because I have to divide by negative 1. Because there's a negative y here, 3y minus 4y is negative 1y. So you got to divide by that negative. All right, so here we got negative 10h minus 9 is going to be greater than negative 3h plus 5. So we move 3h over, so that's going to give me a negative 7h and a 14, right? And then when you divide by that negative right there, it's going to become less than -2. All right, and where would you start on problem number 8? And then again, we're just going to get variables on the same side. So I'm going to move my 5x and move my 15, and I'm going to get x is greater than 12. Okay, so we know she makes $8 per hour, correct? Okay, what else do we know? What does she have currently? So we can add the $1,300 that she has to that. All right, and then how much is the car? At least 5,440. So the question here is, what sign do I need to put there? It does not say the car is 5,440. So don't tell me it's equal. Okay. Now, does Keisha need to have more than 5,440, or does she need to have less than? She needs to have more than. So this side needs to be greater than 5,440. Now, right, but she needs to have more than the car is worth. So if the car costs 5,440, she's got to have more than that. So Keisha needs to have more than what the car value is. Okay? Now, at least means could it equal 5,440? Yes. So it's greater than or equal to. Okay? Can you solve this equation? All right, go. Rearrange, you get h by 7. Setting it up. Really, setting it up is not going to be hard. It's the sign. The sign is going to be hard. You do. All right, so how many hours did you get? Okay, so it was 517.5, right? So most likely, all right, now I want y'all to pay attention here because I don't care if you're turning something to me, this right here is fine, okay, because that's what the answer was. All right, however, that's probably not how they're going to have the answer written on your EOC. They're probably going to say she needs to work at least how many hours? 518, because if she works 517, does she have enough money? No. And by now y'all probably know you don't get paid for half an hour of work. Usually you either work the hour or you don't. Okay? So most likely your EOC will say at least 518 hours. Which part? Greater than or equal to? No, the equal to means she could have worked exactly 517.5. Yeah, that's what that means. That means it doesn't just have to be greater than, it could also be exactly that. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, a DJ added 20 more songs to his digital media player, making the total more than 61. Okay, do we know how many songs he started out with? No, so what are we going to make that? X. But then he added 20 more, and now that is more than 61. So greater than 61. Okay, pretty easy equation there to solve. All right, what'd you get here? All right, X is greater than 41. So he had how many songs to begin with? He had more 41. Could he have had 41? No. If he had 41, he wouldn't be more than 61 whenever he added 20. He had more than 41 songs. Alright, the water temperature in a swimming pool increased 4 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. The temperature is now less than 81 degrees Fahrenheit. What was the water temperature this morning? Okay, so let's see what we got. Do we know what the temperature was originally? No, so we make that X, and then what happened? It increased 4 degrees, so plus 4, and it is now less than 81. So what'd you get? Alright, X is less than 77, so that means the temperature this morning was less than 77. Okay, so temperature. And like I said, there's just several different ways that they can word these. Alright, and you'll see the answer choice. I'll try to find some multiple choice ones that I can show you exactly how they have them worded. Okay? See if you can set up this one. See if you can set this one. It's not just that number. Is it less than that number, more than that number, equal to that number? What is it? Yes, you know this. That's what we want. Now we got capture style. So then he wants to score at least 150 points. He wants it to be Alright, what we got here? How do you set it up? Alright, we don't know how many, but we've already got 123, and we need that to be, okay, he wants to score at least, so that means he can score 150. Okay, so that's why we have the equal to. So when you rearrange, it's going to be x greater than or equal to what? 27. Okay, now, what does that mean? That means he needs to score at least 27 points. Okay? Can he score more than 27 points? Can he score 27 points? Yes. Okay, now, if it said his goal was to score more than 150, alright, if it just said more than 150, then could he score 27 points? No, because that would put him right at 150. That's not what he wants. He wants more than. So at that point, it would just be he'd have to score more than 27 points. All right, Samantha. Oh, I was talking. You're my problem. Okay. Samantha received a $75 gift card for a local day spa. She plans to get a haircut and a manicure. How much money will be left on the gift card after her visit? Okay. So, how much is it going to cost her? All right, at least 32 and at least 26. So what's 32 plus 26? At least 58. Okay? Now, can it be more? Do you know how much more? No, so that's our unknown, right? It could be more than that. But we know when it's all said and done, that total has to be less than or equal to 75. Okay, so Sam back here, when you wrote yours, you had 75 on the other side, which is fine. Okay, your sign just be the opposite way. You still want the amount you have on your gift card to be more than the amount it costs. All right, so when I move my 58, what do I get? 17. So that tells me that she will have what? All right, $17 or less. Another way is you could say no more than $17. Okay, like I said, I don't expect you to have the wording part written out correctly every single time, but when you're reading through answer choices, you need to be able to pick these out. They might not just have it as x is less than or equal to 17. Okay? You need this, not an entire equal sign, but the equal to part of, the equal to part of the inequality. All right, see if you can figure this out. Under what? Per minute, right? That's going to be 0.13 m, right? Okay, and that amount, however many minutes he talks at 13 cents a minute, needs to be less than or equal to $50. So now how do you get it by itself? You divide both sides by 0.13. Okay, so what did m equal? Alright, so you said 384.6. I'm going to stop right there because I want to talk about what that means. Now, have you ever seen, I know compliment nowadays are a lot different than compliments were when I was actually growing up, okay? But do you get charged for talking 384.6 minutes? No. What would they do with that? They would round that up to 385, alright? Okay? You would get charged here for talking 385 minutes. So that means if he talks 385 minutes, is he under his amount? under what? He has to stay no more than 384 minutes. He can't even go over, because if you go over 3 seconds, they're going to charge you for that 385th minute. Okay? Alright, I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on the ones that are on the back. There are 4 of them, I believe. What do you think? How'd you set it up? Alright, they are $4.75 a piece, right? And that needs to be less than or equal to the $22 that she has. Okay, so we divide by 4.75, and what did you get? You get 4.6. Okay, so can she make 4.6 bracelets? No, so she would have to make 4 or less. She'd have to buy, 4 or less. And she can buy 4, or she can buy 3, 2, 1, 9. But she can't buy 5. Just by reading through the problem. Okay, it says you can't spend more than, so no more than means it has to be less than. Okay, but she can still spend the $22. That's where the equal to comes from. That's what it is. Less than or equal to. You good? Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. What you got here? Rodrigo needs at least $560 to pay for his spring break expenses. He is saving $25 per week. All right, and he wants to have at least $560. So after he saves $25 per week, do we want that amount to be less than or greater than the $560? Greater than. Now he says at least. So is $560 acceptable? Yes, it is. So it's greater than or equal to. So divide by 25. What do you get? Okay, so we get 22.4, but if he only saves for 22 weeks, does he have enough? No, so he's got to save for at least 23 weeks. Okay, and if you want to go right here and just write it like this, you can do that as well, but just know, he can't save just a part of a week. It's either 25 for the week or not. All right, American history classes are planning a trip to a local museum. Admissions $8 per person. So $8 per person. Okay, and they have $260. So after we charge $8 per person, can that amount exceed $260? No, it can equal $260, or it needs to be less than $260. So less than or equal to $260. Divide by 8. What do you get? All right, can we take 0.5 of a person? No, so we can't take any more than, so we can take 32 or less. Or you can say no more than 32. Both of those statements mean the same thing. Okay? Got one more. All right, Midway Band Boosters raised more than $5,500 from sales of their $15 band DVDs. Okay, so we know that $15 per DVD was going to be greater than or, it says more than, so not even equal to, greater than 5,500. All right, divide by 15, what'd you get? Okay, you got 36.6. Okay. 366.6. That's probably more. Yeah, 366.67 or whatever you want to go. Okay, so now can they sell 366? No, so they need to sell at least 367. Okay? Alright, so everybody with me?